Hi, welcome to the Power of Care Spotlight. I'm Larry Moliterno with Meridian Community Care. Here today with Richard Harwood, who's been in town, no stranger to Youngstown, came in and did some work on community development with Youngstown and where we are as a community. And one of the things that I want to talk with you a little bit more about was your concept of turning outward. Sounds really simple, but a lot of us don't do it.
Right, and it is simple, actually, and that's, the most basic and profound ideas in our lives usually are the most simple ones, the ones that have simplicity, like in your own life when you decide to turn over a new leaf, in a sense. And so in this sense, what's at issue is basically what direction are we facing in? As heads of organizations, as people who are concerned about the health of our communities, are we facing inwardly toward ourselves and our own organizations, where the reference point for everything we do is ourselves? Or are we turned outward toward our communities, where actually our reference point first and foremost is what are the community's aspirations and needs, and how do we help to support that? And, as you said, Larry, this is a basic choice. I always say to folks, the way to really test yourself on this is when you're looking in the mirror in the morning getting ready for work, and you make eye contact with yourself in the mirror, and you should ask yourself a really basic question. Am I turned outward? And there's no way to escape the answer to that question when you're looking at yourself in the mirror.
It's funny, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, but this concept is so basic that I had this conversation with my 21-year-old son, because I've been spending the last 21 years telling him what's best for him, and I finally sat down with him and said, what do you want out of life? What is it that you want, and how can I help you get that? And I was shocked at how much I learned about my son.
Right. It's amazing. Now think about an entire community and our need to understand what a community's aspirations are, what are the real things that people are challenged by, what really matters to them fundamentally in their own lives. And, in order to do that authentically, to do that in a real way, to do it in a way that's meaningful to people in our community, we have to turn outward. Otherwise, what happens is we have an inward point of view of things. And we've all seen this. We go out and when we say we're listening, we're really testing ideas that we have in our own mind and seeing whether or not people will support them. We have this notion that we're really trying to sell people a bill of goods that we developed in our conference room.
Right.
And we just want to see if they'll support it. We're testing messages. We're testing the color of our logo. Now, all those things are important at some point in your work. But we can't create the kinds of communities we want if we're all turned inward, because at that point we're only really trying to determine how we can advance our own organization as opposed to advancing our community.
Well, I know we've had discussions here at Meridian when we talk about the fact that we have lots of different customers. Our end users, our clients are certainly customers, but our funding sources are customers, our licensing bodies are customers, our funders are customers, and we're just really getting down to this fundamental questions of, do we really know what those customers want?
Right.
And we're starting to have the conversations, and we're finding a lot of interesting things. But it also applies, I would imagine, to anyone who runs a business. If you're a banker or a retailer or you own a restaurant, you really need to understand how often can you really, as you would say, stand up in front of all of your customers and be able to talk in their language, in their terms about what they really want, what their aspirations are.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, look, there's an old country song, the refrain of which is, I can't see me in your eyes anymore. And what Americans are saying right now is they don't see themselves, they don't hear themselves, they don't feel their concerns and the things that matter to them are reflected in our public life, in our communities. And so for anyone who's concerned about the health of communities, for anyone who's concerned about, for instance, making sure our public schools work, or making sure that folks have the kinds of support in their lives that they need and the kind of work that you do, we need to turn outward, because that's how we'll understand what really matters to people.
And you realize how much people want to tell you exactly what their aspirations are.
Well, look, here's the other thing. I mean, if you look at all the work that's being done, there's some basic things people want. They want to be heard, and they want to be understood, first and foremost. And second, most people want to be part of something larger than just themselves. And in order for us to achieve those basic things in people's lives, we've got to be turned outward toward them. Otherwise, how in God's name can we even understand and engage them?
Absolutely. Well, I hope we're going to be able to continue to have lots more of these conversations and be able to involve the people in the Mahoning Valley into some of these discussions so that we can move forward as a community. And I want to thank you, Richard, for your help, and we'll look forward to seeing a lot more here in Youngstown. And also, if you want more information about the Harwood Institute, theharwoodinstitute.org. And there's a lot of really good information on there, and I would really encourage people to go on there and learn more about what Richard does with the Institute.